I went into this book completely blind. I mean, I really had no idea what I was getting into. So what happened was I have this friend, Rose Erickson. She is a writer. She's just a fantastic, sweet, incredible person who happens to love horror books like me. We were just chatting over on Instagram and she mentioned this book she had just read, Baby Teeth. I remember the cover because it's a very distinctive cover. So I kind of remember when it came out, but I actually know zero about it. Rose just said that she really liked it and that she couldn't put it down and that it was dark. And so I just said, okay, Rose, and went in completely on good faith. I went right into Scribd and got that book, and boom, less than two and a half days later, I was done with it because it is that crazy and that addicting. Now, I'm gonna be totally honest, most books really don't scare me. And it's really weird how I can read all these horror novels and some gory stuff and kind of not feel much. Like it kind of takes a lot for me to be scared, actually freaked out from a book. It just doesn't happen often. But when I was reading Baby Teeth, I was genuinely freaked out. And it has been a really long time since that has happened. What's weird is that, of course, there's the physical elements where it does get a little violent and a little gory, like in most horror, but it's really the psychological aspect that got to me. I was nervous and I didn't even, one night I was reading it and I had to read something else to distract me. I didn't want to like be alone to take a shower. It was just weird how much it was affecting me, especially because there's nothing supernatural about it. So let me stop raving about how crazy this reading experience was for me and actually tell you what it's about, because I don't know, maybe that's helpful. As I was reading this book, remember, I went in without reading the description, so I literally had no idea what was going on. But here's the basic situation. There's this woman, Suzette. She is a mother and a wife. She is a person who tackles life with something a little difficult, a little hurdle to get over, and that is a constant issue for her, which is Crohn's disease. So she knew that having children would be really difficult for her and would probably have a bad effect on her body. So she went into her pregnancy and new motherhood with that mindset of just being really worried, not only for her own body, but just nervous about passing that on to her child, and just nervous about her child having something similar to that, which I'm sure you can understand if you know anyone who has something like that or you have something like that yourself. So she and her husband, who's Swedish and a really successful architect, end up having a daughter of their own, and by the time we get to this story, their daughter is 7 years old. Suzette, when she dreamed and envisioned her life having a daughter and a family, she envisioned it a lot different than how reality turned out to be. So her daughter, Hannah, at only 7 years old, is already very aggressive. She's very combative. She doesn't listen. She's been taken out of several schools due to her aggressive behavior. And Suzette wonders, especially because she herself had issues with her own mother, she feels that a lot of the weight of this, her misbehaving child, falls on her. She's also the primary caregiver of Hannah. Daddy Dearest is pretty much oblivious to a lot of what's going on. He likes to just sort of ignore things, or he makes excuses for his daughter's behavior, and I'm sure you can imagine things roll away from there. So this book constantly reminded me of a lot of films that I love because they're so dark and twisted. And I mean this as a compliment. I know it's not always a compliment to compare works to other works, but in this case, it definitely is. It made me think of the classic horror movie, The Bad Seed, which is an old black and white, one of my favorite horror films from back in the day, if you haven't seen that. It made me think of The Good Son with Colleen McLaughlin back in the day, the 90s, the dream of the 90s. It also made me think of that one horror movie, I think it was called The Orphan, just because of how twisted it became. It definitely has some physical violence aspects, and I'm not trying to downplay that at all, but I think what really got to me and what made me nervous and gave me the heebie-jeebies was the psychological aspect. And it's actually a really genius topic for horror because it's something that we inherently expect in our lives. A daughter, which is supposed to be a blessing, a mother, which is supposed to be a comfort, the whole idea of the happy family, but especially the mother-daughter relationship, which to so many is a sacred thing that we inherently believe should be good at its core. So what we're doing with these types of horrors is that we're taking that inherent expectation and belief and we're completely ruining it. So it's really fun and fascinating, darkly fun, I mean. I couldn't tell you what exactly it was about this that got to me. I'm sure for different strokes, different folks, it'll be a different thing that hits you with this one, but it's so creepy and weird and very dark. I just want to warn you of that right here and now, because there's some dark, demented things that go on, and I don't want to like spoil anything or whatever, but I just want you to know that this is more than blood and gore. There are dark, gross things about adolescence and adulthood and a child who perhaps straddles that line too far. So if you're going to read this, I just want you to know that. I'm not going to say any spoilers, but I just want to tell you it's gross in a different way. It's not just blood and gore, it's gross via the mind. Another reason I think that this hit me so much is because I think I related to Suzette, the mother, because of her Crohn's disease. And so when she was describing the pain of that, I have IBS, so not the same, but the symptoms and the feeling of that and the anxiety surrounding it can be similar. So I think I related to that. So anytime she described how that affected her life, I really related to that. So I don't know if that is what really tied me into the whole situation. I didn't like her really, but just something about that made me understand her world maybe a little faster than the other readers will. If you're a person who has to like one of the characters to enjoy a story, then don't read this. I'm not one of those people. To me, liking a character means that I respect them. So even if they're horrible and disgusting, I respect the amount that they have dedicated to their horrible and disgustingness. And that's just really how I roll. But if you're a person who has to relate to a character, you have to see something of yourself in them, then this probably won't be for you, because it's dark, it's intense, and at times really kind of shocking. Like, you can't believe the things that they do. But if you like the movie The Good Son, if you like The Bad Seed, if you liked The Orphan, and you just like this topic of mother-daughter relationships, of children being aggressive, just things that, you know, you inherently believe will be one way, and sometimes, unfortunately, in real life, they're just not. So it's a mirror to that truth, that dark truth, and I enjoyed the heck out of it. She's a fantastic writer, and it was really fun for me just because usually I get sent books, or I don't get to just randomly go into things without knowing them at all anymore. Usually I'm like reviewing what's coming out next and all that, and kind of trying to stay on top of my game. But thanks to my pal Rose, I just spontaneously read something, and it's even more fun when you spontaneously read something and end up loving the heck out of it. So thank you to Rose for being epic and amazing as always. So thankful for you and your friendship and your support. So if you want to read something that's disturbing, like dark, gross stuff, if you like the horror genre, this is not like a Stephen King type of horror, this is not like a Nick Cutter type of horror, okay? This is like psychological, thrilling horror. I read it really quickly. I really enjoyed it. I think I'm either gonna give it 4 or 4.5 stars. Some people said they didn't like the ending as I was reading through the reviews, and I'm gonna be honest, I don't know what you're talking about. Like, what about the ending do you not like? I wish we could talk about it, because, you know, it would be fun to talk about, but I don't want to spoil it for anyone. But I didn't see a dang thing wrong with the ending at all. I liked how it made me feel, and I liked how it made me think about the entire family once we go through that entire story together. I enjoyed it from start to finish. It's one of those books that just like hooks you in, and then you just want it to be over because you need to know more. It's like a train wreck where you want to look away, but dang it, you can't. You gotta keep staring at it, and it's just good in a bad way. Thanks so much for watching. I appreciate you being here and supporting me and getting to know you. You guys are so cool. It's so great to connect with readers like you. So do me a favor, if you liked this video, give it a thumbs up and leave me a comment below. Let me know if you've read this, if you plan on reading it, if you've never heard of it before, or if you think I'm crazy for liking these weird, dark things. Thanks so much for watching. I'll see you on the next one. Bye.